teams were San Pedro. They won both their games handily. And Birmingham, they went 4-2, lost to a couple Southern Section teams. Obviously, there's no playoffs, so we won't get to see those teams collide. The other team that was very strong was Venice. They were very, very good. And in the Valley, Cleveland won a league championship, a co-league championship. They didn't play Birmingham in the West Valley, so they went undefeated like Birmingham. They hadn't won a league title in over 30 years. Caleb McCarty, their running back, had 12 rushing touchdowns in 4 games. So that was fun to watch Cleveland get a championship. And in the East Valley, Chavez went undefeated and Arleta went undefeated. So those are 2 schools that don't get a lot of notoriety.
You said Birmingham and San Pedro, probably the 2 best teams going this year. Would they have met if there was a playoff? Were they in the same division?
Yes, they would have been in the open division. They met in 2019 in the semifinals. San Pedro was the number 1 seed in 2019. Birmingham knocked them off. And then the Patriots, that was a semifinal game, won the next week in the championship game in a hard-fought victory over Banning. So I think it's unquestioned that they would probably have met this year. The only team that I think that could have gotten in their way would have been Venice. But in all probability, it would have been San Pedro against the defending champs from Birmingham.
Looking ahead, the fall's going to be coming up here to start playing again in August, possibly. The city section, what is your feeling right now about them continuing to play in the fall? You think there's going to be any changes?
I think they learned a lot. I think San Pedro doesn't have a lot of seniors, so the Pirates will come back and be the top-ranked team. Birmingham's always strong. A lot of their kids are going to come back as well. It's going to be the same clubs. I would imagine Venice will have all its arsenal back. Offensively, they can score. There'll be some other teams that will come up. I think Garfield will be better in the fall than they were in the spring. But for the most part, I think it's the big 3. But we're going to focus on San Pedro and Birmingham, with Venice an outside shot to win the city title come fall.
Section, Randy, how did they mix and match sports like they did in the Southern section, where you had everybody just thrown into one session?
Yeah, it's crazy right now. It's absolutely crazy right now. In the city section and in the Southern section, you'll come to a school, they'll have a volleyball game on. You go outside, there's a baseball game on one diamond and a softball game on another. I wouldn't want to be an athletic director in the city section or the Southern section right now. You'll be pulling your hair out to try to figure out the schedules.
Well, my question would be to follow up on that, and the reason I asked it is, how did it impact football this year? Were there some teams that might have been a lot better had they not had all the seasons meshed into one? Some guys want to play baseball. Wrestlers want to wrestle. So they may give up football. Football may just be something to do and play. It's highly competitive. You're a competitor. No matter what you play, you want to win. But how many of those guys were on the sidelines for football while they were playing their other sport?
I would say some, and I'll give you a classic example. We carried El Camino Real High School football, and they were great to work with this year with Jason Zavala. They had a terrific player by the name of Troy Spellman, and he played very well for them. And then suddenly, about 2 weeks before the end of the regular season, and I was going to spotlight him on the game because he was leading them in rushing. He was a backup quarterback. He was good on defense. He jumped to baseball. So he gave up the last part of the football season. So I would imagine there are players like Troy Spellman around the city. The other factor is a lot of programs said we're not going to play. One in particular is Washington High School in downtown L.A. Dorsey didn't play, but Washington, their legendary coach Paul Knox retired, just announced it today that he's not going to be the head football coach at Washington Generals anymore. So I think that's a big thing. Well, some of the teams didn't play, and you're right, some of the kids opted out to play other sports.
Paul Knox, did he retire, or is he just looking to go to another opportunity? He was the Dorsey guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Dorsey. Legendary, won 4 city titles at Dorsey. Paul's hanging him up. He's retiring. This is it. He's closing in on the big 7-0, so I think it's time. And he's had a phenomenal career, and he helped build the Washington program, Washington Prep there, the Generals. So he'll turn it over, and they'll get some good coaching in there. Washington will continue to play, but they got to get their numbers up, and that's why they didn't play this season.
Randy, I know your time's limited because I know you're live right now getting ready to do the Etiwanda game. Basketball game. Real quick, I watched the Mater Dei Bosco game, the one you were calling this past week. I believe it was Wednesday. What a game, Randy. I got to tell you, that game went back and forth. Nobody really got away. I was a little surprised Mater Dei actually got a 5-point lead in the fourth quarter, fourth period that is, but it was a pretty good ball game you guys had.
Yeah, it really was a good game in the Trinity League. Bosco came in 12-1. Mater Dei was 15-0. Bosco just has lulls offensively. They had the lead. They were up by 10 in the first half. They had a 7-point halftime advantage, but they at times just go blank on offense. They just don't shoot it all the time well. They play good defensively, and you got to play a solid four-quarter game if you're going to beat Mater Dei with the three Division I players up front with Breedenbach and Hornery and Davidson. If you don't play for the 32 minutes, you're not going to win. So Bosco, the next time they play them in a couple of weeks at their place, they're going to have to knock down shots if they're going to knock off the Monarchs.
Well, it's a pretty good ball game, I got to tell you. Bosco likes to run. Mater Dei has a lot of length. They like to shoot from the outside, like everybody else is trying. But I was very impressed with Mater Dei's inside game. I don't understand why more schools don't play an inside game anymore. Everybody wants to just shoot the three all the time.
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast now. Everybody loves shooting the threes. Mater Dei has the luxury with those three D1 guys. They're both capable inside players because they're 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" in that range, and they all can step out and knock down threes. So they have that luxury of going inside and outside, Rich. But I agree with you. Not enough teams play the two ball and the inside game. They're all looking for downtown.
In the top 10, Randy, Mater Dei, number 1. Centennial, number 3 position. St. John Bosco, number 5. And then Sierra Canyon, number 7. Is Sierra Canyon that far off the map behind Centennial and behind St. John Bosco?
It depends on what polls. A lot of the polls have Sierra Canyon number 1, led by Amari Bailey. So until someone knocks them off, they're undefeated. They have a win over Windward already. They beat St. Joseph of Santa Maria, a very good club who had come into Chatsworth and Sierra Canyon 11-0. No, I think Sierra Canyon is still the team to beat, although I really like Rebay Academy and Corona Centennial and the teams that I'm going to see here tonight. Etiwanda, who took Sierra Canyon to the wire in the state regional game when they last played. And Damien is a very good basketball team as well because they have Malik Thomas, who's a great player going to USC.
Yeah, Rebay, the former Paternoster High School, man. It's interesting to see all these academies come in, and the first thing they want to do is establish a sports program, preferably basketball, because all you need is a ball. You can play outside. Everybody else has gyms, but that's how they do it. So, interesting. You see Bosco and Mater Dei playing again. You think it's going to be the same result, Rand? Do you think Bosco will have learned anything from that game that they can do differently to beat the Monarchs and actually give them a loss before the season's up? Because they will play again, I believe.
Yeah, they're playing it, like I said, in a couple of weeks. I think the key is they just got to knock down more shots. I think they played well enough to win. They
went cold down the stretch.
They probably were on the bus going back home thinking if we would have hit our normal shots, we'd win the game. That's the key. They'll be playing at home. They have a heck of a chance to knock off Mater Dei because they're playing at home, but they just got to shoot the ball a little bit better. Yeah,
they just down the stretch, man. They did go cold. They stayed on that 49 points for quite a while, and Mater Dei started to get some stuff inside, and that was the kiss of death there for St. John Bosco. All right, Randy, I guess our 10-minute mark's pretty much up. I know you got to get going. Real quick, tell us about tonight's game.
Well, it's just a great game. I mean, you got stars on both teams. You got big-time coaches, Mike LeDuc, who's won close to 1,000 games. He's the coach of Damien. You got Dave Kleckner and his great man-for-man defense at Etiwanda. Etiwanda's the favorite because they beat him the first time around. Yeah. When Damien was 15-0, and it was the first game for Etiwanda, they beat him. So it's revenge for Damien. It's a terrific game. I'm anxious to call it at 7:30 on KDOC. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a grinder because both teams emphasize defense.
Yeah, you guys can flip the switch after this shows up. Checked out that ball game. Damien ranked number 8. They're in that top 10 too in the state, Randy. Damien is. So Etiwanda has their hands full. I don't care what anybody says. Damien's 20-1.
Terrific teams. It should be a great game.
Yeah. All right, Randy. Thanks a lot for the report. Appreciate it.
21.
Catch you next time down the road here. All right, Randy. Thank you. Hey, Bob.
Take care, Rich.
Oh, you have. Thanks a lot. All right, we got Dan DeForest checking in now. Hey, real quick, Bob. Anything to add about that Bosco Mater Dei game? Did you get to see any of that?
I just read about it, after the fact, but not surprising. Those two teams always put on a great show together. I think what's fun about it is, this is a Mater Dei team that doesn't really have a superstar that's leading the way. They have those, as you guys talked about, you and Randy, those 3 big guys in the middle, and I think it really creates some matchup problems for those teams to try to shoot over those big guys. So, it's interesting. Mater Dei creates interesting matchup problems for other teams. I think that's what
Well-
Modern Day presents right now, and Modern Day's always in the mix. They just
Not-
always are.
Not only do you have to shoot over those big guys, but if you miss, you got to try to out-rebound them, and you can't.
Right, and that's a tall order.
They have the length on those guys. Interesting stat, Bob. I believe St. John Bosco hasn't beaten Mater Dei on their home floor. Should have asked Randy about that. I believe I heard that they have not beaten St. John Bosco on Mater Dei, or St. John Bosco not beaten Mater Dei on Mater Dei's home floor. Unbelievable.
I'll have to look into that. That is an interesting stat. That would surprise me, actually.
But you would think that, well, these guys go back to the beginning of time of Moses and Jesus and all that other stuff, right? They really don't. They weren't always in the same league together. It was the old Angelus League, and then it moved around to different things, and now they're together in the Trinity. So it's not like they've been there forever, kind of like St. Paul had been with Mater. I think St. Paul had been in that Angelus League a lot longer than Bosco's been in the Trinity League with these guys. So, hey, look at that dude over there. He's got the shakes right now. That's Dan DeForest checking in. He's over at Crean Lutheran High School. Dan, how you doing tonight, man?
Good, doing great. Hey, this is a little exciting game right now. It's wild in here. It's a 40-28 game. They're battling back and forth. A lot of contact, a lot of physical activity. It's a barn burner right now. So
we could tell.
We're starting to make a run and make a game.
Your heart's beating so fast that camera's shaking, man. Come on, get it together.
Is. I'm watching this going crazy. They were just they're going wild out here. So it's a really exciting game. So it's going to be a heck of a finish.
Is the game still on right? Is it going right now? Go ahead and flip the screen, man. Flip the screen on that phone. Tell them, Bob.
This is going to be for the league title, Dan. I really believe that. Custody Crean Lutheran. I mean, these are the two top teams in the division, I believe. Even though, we talked about the rankings. The rankings are kind of funny. I know Crean's, I think, 6th in the division. Custon is either 1 or 2. But I think these are the top 2 teams in that division. I think it's playing out on the court here for you tonight.
Hey, those rankings are only funny, Bob, because you got to vote, and you always vote badly. You always want the underdogs in there. You're always messing things up.
I don't have. I wish I had a vote.
He's trying to back
If I had a
into
vote,
the
I'd make that
arena.
thing right.
Turn your camera the other way, man. Damn, we can see more of it. All we got is your big head right now. Turn it sideways.
There we go. There's the look inside.
There it is. All right, never mind. That was a bad idea. Never mind, Dan. Go back. That's better. All right. We tried that. You got to get this ready. Hey, you got to get this all ready to go before Friday, man. Coming in August, Prep Sports Night Live is back right here on LA 36. This is going to be the place to be. Right after your football games on Friday nights, 10 o'clock, 10 to midnight, we go live. You're going to have Dan out there doing reports, Bob, everybody's going to be out starting this August. So we're glad about that. And Dan, this gives you a chance to check out your technology, man, see how this thing's going to work, my friend.
You got it.
Because you're going to be street walking once the season starts.
Hey, Dan, real quick. Hey, Dan, real quick, is there just a different feeling because of these two teams and how good these two teams are? Is there a little bit different feeling out there on the court?
Yeah, this is for first place, and they're just playing. The energy is so high up in here, and even though there's not a lot of fans, they're quite loud. And definitely we feel some home court goings on right now.
Some home cooking? Some home cooking, Bob.
I didn't say a little home cooking. Yeah,
I'll say it.
maybe a little home cooking.
I know exactly what that means. I've been there. Been there, done that.
So, they have not committed a foul in the second half, so I'm not sure. Maybe they're playing flawless. But,
All right.
it's good to watch. I appreciate you guys checking in.
Right on. All right. Well, hey, listen, it's good to see what's happening. Check in with, let us know who wins this ball game because it is playoffs. It is playoff time. They're actually going to have playoffs here in the Southern section for basketball. So these games all mean something. And you can see, by the way, the tempos are uptick everywhere. Everybody's getting after it right now.
Yeah, this is 1 and 2 right here. So this is a very important game.
Absolutely. All right, Dan, we're going to let you go because you're giving everybody vertigo right now. And we'll be talking, my brother. You all right, Bob? Did you see that? Woo!
A little technical difficulty snuck in
Bob's
there, right?
heart, Dan's heart's
I'm okay.
it's pumping out of his chest, my friend. It's going nuts. Anyways, Bob, we were talking about Bosco Mater Dei, and that game came pretty close. I tell you what, I thought Bosco was going to win that game the way they were playing. It just seems like they wanted it more, but it seems that towards the end they just got tuckered out. They got out-lengthed by Mater Dei, who just started going inside, man.
Yeah,
Bosco had no
like
answer.
we were talking about before. I mean, when you got those 3 guys inside.
Three guys?
Three guys.
3 guys. Yeah, I heard you. Terry
Trust us.
Smith. That's Terry Smith's favorite line. 3 guys. Angel announcer.
I saw Terry Smith on the freeway the other day. Anyway, shout out to Terry. But Hornery, Greenbach, I mean, these guys just create matchup problems, right? And you're right. Everybody likes to play outside now. Nobody really plays inside, but modern day does sag a little bit on defense inside. So it's tough. Even when they press on the outside, you got to get up over those guys when you get your shot down. And it's not easy to do. I mean, you talk about just hucking threes all day, and right? And, you say, okay, that's fine. If you're shooting against a little guy, 5'8", with 5'9", okay. But when you got those big, long, 6'9", 6'10" guys out there, it creates the problems there. Modern days really, really lived with that. I think that's really, been a big key to their success. Even though they're not as athletic as they've been in past years, but that size difference really means something because nobody really has a lot of size right now.
One thing I wanted to ask Randy, Bob, before we moved on was what's going on with Westchester and Fairfax? You don't hear anything about those guys right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I wanted to ask Randy about that too, right? Because we're just waiting for city section basketball. We don't have anything right now. I mean, we're waiting. They're waiting, right? Everybody there in the city said they'd love to play because, we get great basketball every year in the city section. It'd be a shame if we didn't at least get some sort of a season for those kids as we've gotten for so many of the other kids. But, this is where the city section has been a little more cautious than maybe the southern section in opening things back up for indoor sports. But hopefully soon, man, because we got to get those athletes back on the court and get a season in so they get ready for that next, right? We talk about football, we get ready for August. Hey, basketball's right around the corner from that. Those kids need to get ready as well that aren't seniors. The kids are coming back in the next couple of years. They need to get ready for that season as well, and this could be the bridge to that. It should be.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, everybody's itching. Everybody wants to see what's going on. So, everybody has to get back, all the sections. It's time, man. Just because the county line is there doesn't mean things change. It's the same air, all right? Same everything.
You're right. It's time. I think that's everybody's feeling right now. It's time, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
We've gotten to that yellow tier. We've gotten down to where we need to be to open this thing back up. It is time. We've proven that we can, behave ourselves, however you want to do it. Whatever we had to do to get down to this yellow tier, a lot of different opinions on that one, but we got there. Now it's time. Let's go. Let's let the kids back on all the playing.
Everybody out of the pool, baby, as they say. Hey, Bob, interesting note this week, and I don't know if I'm reading too much in this or not, but I guess St. John Bosco's reached out to anybody in Texas that wants to play, and nobody will play him. Any truth to that? What do you know?
It's hard to get details on that, because a lot of it's just talk right now. But I wouldn't doubt it because, Bosco and Modern Day have really just separated themselves, I think, in the national football picture, right? So, I mean.
Yeah, they beat up on everybody. When they go out of state, they do well.
Look, we've talked about it before on this show. When the Texas teams get high up in those national rankings, we always say, who have they played, right?
They never leave the state, Bob.
Right.
They never leave the state.
They never go anywhere. Right. Who have they played? The schedule's always a little bit on the softer side. You think they want to come play Bosco? You think they even want Bosco to come travel and play them?
No.
They could get ripped by 20 or 30 points? No, thanks. They don't want to risk their perfect season.
Bosco would probably go through the state and just rip everybody up. I'm looking up at Westlake and their schedule, and it doesn't look like they left the state. And we've looked at these national rankings. We have our own national rankings here. And so I don't know. I mean, it's out there. People are talking about it. But yeah, Texas feels there's just enough. There's enough stuff there. The national champ, or sorry, I said the number 2 team coming out of Texas. They finished behind IMG Academy. They played Clements, Texas team, Midway from Waco, Texas, DeValle, San Marcos, Hayes. All of these teams are in Texas, in Austin, within the district. Cedar Ridge. They just haven't played anybody.
Well,
there's nobody in there. There's no Bishop Gorman's not in there. You don't see Don Bosco Prep from New Jersey in there. You don't see IMG Academy playing anybody in there. These guys played a schedule with nobody of national prominence in there, except maybe when they got to the playoffs. But their national rankings are dependent on just basically who they play in the state. These guys have not gone out and played anybody. And that's the biggest beef we have with these self-proclaimed national champs. If you don't leave your state to go play a state champion in another state, then you can't lay claim to the title. You can't do that. You can't lay claim. You should just keep your mouth shut. If you can't leave your district, you can't leave your state, you can't leave your county, then you cannot lay claim to a national championship. It doesn't work that way.
Look, the problem for Bosco and the problem for Modern Day is there's nobody in state to give them a game. There really isn't. There isn't anybody anymore in this state who can give either one of those teams. The only ones who can give them a game is each other.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
you're
you've got to
right.
go out of state. You have to go to Texas and Florida and I think Georgia. And I think they should really be looking at some other states as well. There's some other good football. Utah, they've gotten involved with some games from teams in Utah. But you have to start looking outside the state because there's literally nobody here who's going to give you a game. Everything's a running clock. In league, everything's a running clock at the end. These are good league teams. These are some of the best teams in Southern California. It's a running clock at the end. So nobody's going to give them a game here for sure.
No, and the beauty of this whole thing is Modern Day and Bosco get to play each other twice every year. They play in the regular season, and then they play in the playoffs. And the funny thing is, if you look at the history of it, more than once, twice, three times has the team that won in the regular season lost in the playoffs. So that's how close these two teams are right now in St. John Bosco and Modern Day. And you're right, Bob, I like the way you put that. They separated themselves from everybody here in Southern California and then the state of California. De La Salle can't play with these guys anymore. That's why they don't play down here. They don't come down here and play anymore. And
every state championship game, no matter who is Modern Day, De La Salle, Bosco, it doesn't matter. De La Salle can't hang with either one of those programs
not anymore.
And what does that tell you? Because that's the cream of the crop in Northern California. So the line's even more blurred between the two sides of the state.
Well, Laddiser won all those. He won 150 games in a row or whatever it was, that winning streak he had. But let's remind everybody, they're the Modern Day of Northern California, and they're on steroids because they don't have a St. John Bosco up there. They don't have a Rancho Santa Margarita up there. They don't have a Servite up there. In other words, there's nobody else sucking talent somewhere else. Down here, it leaks like a sieve, and it should. Talent should, because there's 22 million people in Southern California. You're lucky you have a couple million people up in around the area where De La Salle is, so they're going to get all the athletes in the area up there, and they just can't compete. But for a long time, that guy had a lock on it. He had a lock on the national title. And again, when you have 150 or whatever it was, winning streak, 149 games or whatever, yeah, you're pretty good. It probably wasn't that much, but it was a big streak, Bob. We're always the kings of hyperbole on this show. Never forget that. All right. Every week somebody throws for 1,000 yards, and I don't think that's happened yet, Bob. But
not quite yet. I was going to say, you get Folsom's a good program up there. Grant is a good program up there. So you get those two. You get some schools in Northern California that are good. They're not, but they're not in the same league as the schools down here. They just really aren't.
Folsom's like a Johnny-come-lately though to the party. It's always been De La Salle. It just has been, and then everybody else. So I don't know where this is going to end. Like I tell you now, everybody was talking Servite up this year, and I said no, way too early for Servite to be. Just come in here and take the Trinity League. I don't care if you are Troy Thomas and you've been here before. You did great when you were here 15 years ago. But it's different now. You got two other big dogs in the pen, so you're just not going to run riff shot over them anymore. It's a lot tougher. So we're going to see
about who's going to be that. We were talking about who's going to be that third team, right? I mean, there's got to be a third team that comes into the fray. It wasn't Jay Sarah, even though they had.
It wasn't Centennial either this year, man. Norco popped them.
Centennial, of course. I mean, it's an odd season. I mean, you're going to chalk it up. No matter what, but but especially in that Trinity League, I think Servite's still a viable contender. And don't forget it, this is the time of year the transfer game is going to start playing out. Rich, don't forget about that.
Well, the Trinity League averages about 400 to 500 transfers a year into their league. Think about that for a minute. Just take a minute to think about 400 to 500 athletic transfers. Nothing to do with academics. Athletic transfers into that league. It's an and that, you know what, Bob? That's probably half because we know what the numbers are right now, but they're going to double and triple before before the fall starts again with fall sports. So I don't know. We'll see what kind of talent drips in, but they're very talented. When you can have a freshman quarterback, a true freshman at that, lead a national championship team to an undefeated season, you're pretty good. You're pretty good at all the other positions.
It's just crazy the way the talent has flocked to those two schools. Servite's got to get in there. I know Servite, nobody recruits, but if Servite can attract some talent to their school, they can get up there as well. They've got some other talent already in play.
The thing is with Troy Thomas, he did well at Servite when he was here the last go-around. He was dominant. There's no getting around it. Troy Thomas was dominant, but he left, went to Crespi, and didn't catch magic in a bottle again. It just didn't happen for him. So he must have a pipeline or somewhere around here where he good recruiting and gets the athletes because he's definitely on modern day and Bosco's heels, but I still think is a year or two away from actually trying to slay one of these two giants. I'm telling you, these two programs are not going to give up easy, Bob. You're not in national championship caliber by giving up.
No, for sure, right? And they are established, and they're a long time established now. I mean, Jason Negro's returned to St. John Bosco. Bosco wasn't all that good, right? It had been a while since Bosco was a really solid football program. He's come back and reestablished that now. Not only did they become the top team in the state, they're the top team in the nation. Now, it was Modern Day, but Modern Day won the game this year, obviously. But that's been the thing. Is Jason Negro coming to Bosco and establishing this football program back into prominence. I mean,
well, they had a big change.
Then Modern Day did the same thing. Don't forget, they were losing to city section schools back in 2010, 11, 12. They lost to Carson in 2011. So, I mean, for them to be able to come back and reestablish themselves as this kind of a power, it just tells you something, man. These schools are doing something just a little bit different from everybody else.
Well, Bosco got a big assist from their sister school, Don Bosco Tech in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And when their staff came over and saw what was going on at St. John Bosco, apparently, as the story goes, they said the only problem with Bosco is they needed to get in the weight room. Their linemen just weren't strong enough. And that's what turned the whole program around. Don Bosco in New Jersey was a national champion. And then they mixed with St. John Bosco here on the West Coast. And the rest is history. They adopted some of their stuff, and here we go. Now you have two great teams in the Trinity League, and Bosco hasn't stopped. They're still foraging ahead. This year would have been an off year for them. They would not have beaten Modern Day to get to another national championship or even a state title. But you can't take away, the fact that these are still the two premier teams, not only in the Trinity League, not only in the state of California, but in the country and beyond. Yeah. Probably in the universe, Bob. Even Pluto and Mars, man, they're the best teams. High school teams.
The good news is we got to see this as a preview for this coming season, right? So come August, man, we're ready. It's around the corner already. It's here.
Oh, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. Hey, I'm looking forward to doing the show Friday nights, Bob. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a great time. All of Southern California is going to be right here after the game, 10 to midnight. We're going to be live phone calls, interviews, partying. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be the football fest.
Always a fun time.
Yeah, whatever other sports are going on at that time, we don't care. We'll share the stage, man. It doesn't matter. Listen, Bob, we got to get out of here. Larry's having a fit back here. It's time to go. Like to thank everybody, especially Bob and myself, for being here tonight. Randy, of course, has a game, and I'd like to thank Dan DeForest for checking in. Although his heart was beating so fast tonight, Bob, did you see that? Couldn't contain that phone, baby.
He was a little. We got to get Dan. We got to get Dan to calm down just a little bit out there. Yeah.
It's hard, man. I've been out there. I've never had to do that. That's your guys' issue. All right. Hey, listen, we're going to be back next week. Hope you join us. We'll have a lot more basketball. Start talking about baseball. That's Bob's forte. Maybe throwing some softball stuff. And then, again, talk about what we have up and coming here at LA 36 Sports. On behalf of Bob Gibson, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Court. We'll see you next Friday night. Live as always.